So today we have a very special guest with us, Comrade Nagrajan, who is also the General Secretary of All India Bank Officers Association.
When we signed on 7th of December, the 9th Joint Note Understanding, it was clearly committed by Indian Banks Association that they would persuade the Government of India to consider and clear the 5-day bank. And they are wanting to revive the agitation. I have got my own comments on that. Withdrawing the strike, deferring the strike or withdrawing the strike is nothing but a suicidal. And youngsters have not appreciated the stand taken by the unions. It's a factual question. Divided by 365, you put it will work out to 1.6 and 4.6. Our circulars are very clear. And it was one of the demand from our side to the Government of India in the strike notice, enhanced PLI for a scale 3 officer akin to the executive, like that only you have put it. We have never questioned, government has got no right to intervene. If you allow the foreignization of IDBI Bank, the next will be 5 banks are in the list as per SEBI direction. First is, and when the majority numbers are not resorting to strike and deferring it, AIBOA took the painful stand up deferring it. Left to us, or had we been inside the 8 unions, 7 unions which have met, we would have made our impact that there is no question of withdrawal of the strike.
About this changing banking culture, which you have seen over the long so many years, what major cultural shifts do you observe in public sector banks?
If you take the Kingfisher Airlines, one of the top executive of the bank is directly involved, of IDBI Bank, Mr. Agarwal, who granted the loan in A4 size of the paper, 945 crores to Kingfisher Airlines.
So today we have a very special guest with us who has held the record of signing maximum number of wage negotiations under his belt. None other than Comrade Nagrajan, who is also the General Secretary of All India Bank Officers Association. So we welcome you in this podcast. Thank you for giving your time. So initially first I want to understand, Comrade, how your journey started in banking and how you actively started taking participation in trade union activities.
I joined the bank service as a temporary employee for a period of 2 years between 1973 and 1975. And after every 15 days of work, the bank used to terminate me with a break of 4 days. And ultimately, the union fought and got all of us regularized in the bank service. Between 1975 and 1980, I worked as a clerk, and I sought a transfer to Chennai to take care of my ailing parents. And in the process of journey, I came across the atrocities committed during the emergency against the bank employees in a semi-urban area, which made me to concentrate to address the issues of the society as well as the bank employees. Between 80 and 83, I was a Central Committee member of the Employees Union of the Central Bank of India, and after that in a merit promotion which was participated around 8,000 people, 458 people were selected through the written test, and ultimately I was posted to Bombay in the year 1983. Between 1983 till my retirement, I did not opt for any promotion, because by the time I have encountered the various atrocities and excesses committed by the management of the bank against the employees as well as the officers. As it is always revealed, the tiger can never change the stripes. The same is the story as far as the management is concerned. Colonial period of attack on the workers of hire and fire, it was modernized in the form of charge sheets and other things against the performing people in the banking industry. By virtue of it, I was identified by a late Comrade Tarakeshwar Chakravarti, who was the General Secretary of All India Bank Employees Association, who led the movement between 1980 and 2002 as a tallest leader who was a China wall between the government of India and the various bank management, and gave us the standing in the society as a respectable citizen and gave that honor to lead the trade union movement. And during this process, I was identified by him as the Joint Secretary of the All India Central Bank Officer Association in the foundation conference held on 13th of January 1985. And up to 1992, I was a Joint Secretary. And in 1993, I was interested with the General Secretaryship of All India Central Bank Officer Association, which I continued till 2012. In the year 2011, when my predecessor, Comrade RJS, who was the General Secretary of the IDBI, succeeding Comrade PK Menon, decided to step down because of the health compulsion, I was given the responsibility to lead All India Bank Officer Association. I've been completely molded to look at the society with a telescopic angle, and in the process, I have been attracted, involved, and also completely submerged myself in finding ways and means to develop a finest trade union organization for officers. Though each officer has got their own priorities and their own wishes to become part of the management willy-nilly without knowing the risk involved in heading an institution, rightly or wrongly. Hence, attracted towards the trade union was on account of my basic commitment to stand up for the values in the society and also to get the recognition for the bank employees and officers as a respectable citizen in the organization.
Okay. So that was such a great sacrifice made by Comrade Nagrajan. Although he has explained his entire story in such a short brief of time, but the way he has spoken about his sacrifices is because of the earlier comrades, great comrades, that we are able to enjoy the facilities given by the management because of the sacrifices made by the earlier comrades.
Yeah, seniors.
Comrade, next question that I wanted to ask you is on privatization and policy direction of Government of India. So this is the topic on which I'll be asking you most probably 3 to 4 questions.
Okay.
So the first question is, what is AIBO's current stand on the proposed privatization of public sector banks?
Comrade Rahul, to speak to you very sharply, privatization of public sector bank is a dangerous move of the present government of India. It is an indirect way of East India Company taking over the control of India prior to independence. Like that, handing over the financial sector of public sector bank to the private owners will amount to completely giving up the control of the whole financial system. And as far as AIBOA is concerned, we are very conscious. Every attempt made by the present government of India, nay, even the previous government, we have fought, we shall fight that privatization of public sector banks shall not be allowed. And the way in which government is moving in a systematic manner of reducing the government equity in the public sector bank, as per the SEBI instruction, it is slowly moving towards foreignization of the public sector bank. One such move is likely to happen, as we are apprehending, is allowing DBS Bank to take over LVB Bank, Lakshmi Vilas Bank. 15 corporate branches of DBS has taken over more than 100 branches of LVB Bank because of the concept of wholly owned subsidiary. The next attack that is on the card is Yes Bank being taken over by a foreign directed group of people in the name of wholly owned subsidiary of Japanese bank, Sumeto. The third one which is likely to happen is in IDBI. IDBI, there are 3 people coming up. But ultimately, it is expected Prem Basta, the man who is holding a Canadian passport of Indian origin, who is handling the Catholic Syrian Bank, he is likely to take over, it is expected. Equally, from the Emirates, there is a possibility of a non-banking financial company coming into picking up the stake of the IDBI. Hence, as the IBOI is concerned, the way in which attempts are being made by the present government in a very, very subtle manner, it has to be fought by the workers, employees, as well as the public, because allowing the foreign capital to come inside will completely destroy the very fabric of Indian financial system. EIBOA shall take every sincere step to halt it through the collective action of the existing workforce, past retirees, even through judicial intervention to stop the IDBI privatization. Though DIPAM, the Government of India, Department of Department of Investment of Public Asset Management Company, that DIPAM approach on IDBI, we shall try our level to stop it. In 2015, when Arun Jaitley, the late finance minister, has made an appeal from Singapore stating that IDBI character has undergone a change because it comes under the Companies Act instead of the Article of Association underwent a change, and he openly said we shall ensure that privatization of IDBI will be taken up. And ultimately, it has taken 10 years because systematically All India Bank Officer Association has taken steps to halt it. And if I remember correct, on 15th of November 2015, we had a massive demonstration in the IDBI Tower in Cuff Parade. And till today, we are in 2025, 10 years or down the line, IDBI sale is not been moved forward. But we are afraid within a short span of time of 6 months, the government is contemplating strategically to give up 30% of LIC share and 30% of the government share to the private parties, so that they are likely to get around 35,000 crores of money from the disinvestment process, which will be categorized in the budget as the receipts from the miscellaneous way. So we are fighting this very clearly on this matter.
So have we filed any cases through judicial?
In Bombay High Court, All India Bank Officer Association and Comrade Srivastava as a shareholder of IDBI, we have filed the case. It has been listed, and since the financial bid has not been opened up, our case is hanging. And now, since the signals are there that it will be moving forward, we will be exploring all possibilities to halt such a forced sale of IDBI Bank, which has booked 5 years continuous profit. Not only that, 100% provisioning has been made against the non-performing asset of rupees 38,000 crores. It is, if you take it, it is a fine bank for a beautiful sale, where the willful defaulters, all sins have been covered through the provisioning by the present top management of IDBI. This is the situation.
So my next question to you is, how do you view the government's approach toward privatizing IDBI Bank? Is it a test case for others?
Yes, exactly. If you allow the foreignization of IDBI Bank, the next will be 5 banks are in the list as per SEBI direction. First is Bank of Maharashtra. Second is Indian Overseas Bank. Third is Central Bank of India. Fourth is UCO Bank. Fifth is Punjab and Sindh Bank, where government equity holding is more than 75%. SEBI has directed public participation should be 30% and it should be achieved within 3 years. And already Government of India has appointed an auditor to oversee all these things. Disinvestment process. IDBI, if it is not halted, you take it from me as a vision of the future, 5 public sector bank will be completely ruined by the participation from the public, number 1. Number 2, it may also lead the wholly owned subsidiaries coming into secure a minimum shareholding in this 5 bank, then it is a partial foreignization of the public sector bank. It shall happen if you don't resist.
So my next question is, what impact do you foresee if more public sector banks are privatized on employees, service quality and financial inclusion? Because as you know that the public sector banks play a very important role in financial inclusion.
Yeah.
So what will be the impact? As you have already seen, few banks have been merged and few are at the verge of privatization. So
Yeah.
if it happens, what will be the impact
No,
on these three aspects?
Yeah, very specifically to react, there will be a forced exit of the senior employees who will get frustrated, which has happened in Yes Bank recently. Nearly about Yes Bank, HDFC and DBS, if you put together, around 800 people have been forced to seek exit route. They will be frustrated and they will not be given promotion, and naturally they will opt out under absolutely frozen mind, number one. And when the service quality is being talked, every service rendered by the private sector bank is being charged. So far people have not come to the basic understanding that even more than 4 checks when you draw, through 4 withdrawals through ATM, it is being charged. And the third one is private sector banks' role in financial inclusion or rural development. If you take it, it is nothing but zero. In opening Jan Dhan account, the finance ministry portals are very clear. It will be the public sector bank which will carry out the government programs, pakka. You have also seen private sector bank, as far as the agricultural advances are concerned, they are willing to invest in the rural bonds instead of developing agriculture. So privatization means destruction of the developmental activities carried out by the public sector bank from 1969 till today. Hence, the precursor to the entire thing will be IDBI, then 5 public sector bank dilution of equity, leading to exit of the people from the system, experienced people, and service quality coming down, and every services rendered by them will be levied, and ordinary person will not be able to enter. As in the case of Citibank customer, instead of using ATM, if they come inside to the banking hall and spend 30 minutes, they are being charged. Whether you are aware of it or I don't know.
My God.
Yes. Instead of using their ATM, if they come and spend some time, the debit note comes that you spend with our counter staff for this, and a note comes as a service charge. It happens. So the same pattern will come. And where the net interest margin is going to be very tough in the days to come. When the repo rates are coming back, naturally they will be trying to put pressure on the public for the service that they are enjoying. It will also be taxed, levied, collected money on that.
Okay. Now I'll be moving to next one, non-recruitment and staff shortage.
Beautiful.
Comrade, as you have seen, there has been very low recruitment in recent years. So, how is AIBO addressing the growing staff shortage in public sector banks? And what is the actual data that, if you could let us know?
Yeah. 2 things, Rahul, I can share with you. Allowing the banking correspondents getting into the banking system, as one of the reports says, it is about 18 lakhs banking correspondents are there. And they are today considered to be an intermediary between bank branches and the common people, particularly in the villages.
Correct.
And they also have new way of earning money on the float money available at their disposal between Monday and Friday. This is one situation. Second is, because of the high level of technology which has been brought in, by virtue of the mutual understanding between the employees union and the bank management right from 1993, when it came technology introduction, it was limited, but today it has reached to such a level that almost all front office work is handed over to the technology driven system. Even the query related to a customer coming into the bank or exiting the bank, he gets from AI that thank you for your visit to our branch, you have withdrawn money of 12,000 rupees. So technology is an attack on the existing working system of the banking, number one. Number two, the present government has tested Agniveer in the services, particularly in Army, Navy and defense sector. And after 3 years, they are being terminated. Few of them have been picked up for appointment. And such a thing is being attempted in State Bank of India to begin with. Then comes Central Bank of India. Now third Indian Bank. And the terms of contract of these people vary from bank to bank. And non-filling of the clerical vacancies between 2011 and 2024, if you take it, as per the data available, expressed in the floor of the parliament, 2 lakhs vacancies are clearly available in the public sector bank, out of which they have come around now because of the agitation raised by the unions in the industry. They have come out with the proposal that the banking system will add approximately 13,000 people through the recruitment process in the clerical cadre.
Only 13,000.
This is exclusive of State Bank of India. Okay. State Bank of India had recruited earlier 8,000 people. Now, 3 days back, they have confirmed 14,000 people have been recruited in clerical. So, 22,000 people have come inside in the State Bank of India as on today. Whereas in public sector bank, there is no such thing. And these banking correspondent people, they carry out almost all work. And contracted employees, that is location based employees who are all not disturbed district wise, they try to do the work on contract basis. Highly qualified people, when they get into it, they cannot remain silent. They also carry out experiment through technology in operating the accounts, though there are restrictions are there. Hence, fighting for recruitment is a prioritized issue. But when the banking system is towards the officerization and allowing the banking correspondent, nearly 18 lakhs of people, to the extent of 2 lakhs, the union should have insisted out of 18 lakhs, if 2 lakhs people are there, they should be recruited on the permanent basis through the process of selection, written examination, interview, which some or other unions are not able to pick it up to a concluding stage or final stage, and it is creating a lot of problem as far as the recruitment is concerned. And officers numbers have gone up, and a new trend has also come in the system. Localized bank officers are being appointed, linking to the linguistic area and also the spread of the branches. It's a new dimension, and there is also a assurance while releasing the advertisement that 10 years they will not be shifted from that linguistic area, and that is also a sort of a soap granted to them to come to the banking system. Otherwise, most of them, after coming to the banking system, they feel that why they have chosen the banking system because of the stress that they are encountering.
Yeah, because a few years back, the State Bank of India came with the concept of circle-based officers, wherein for at least 10 to 12 years, they will not be posted out of that particular area. So many of them who were in senior scale, they went down scale and they joined State Bank.
Exactly. And now one more trend is also happening, that as a matter of information you should have. Probationary officers who have joined the public sector bank, if they are getting the developmental officer position in Indian Bank, they prefer to go there on 2 counts. One is pay scale is more, another is 5-day week is available for them. They are shifting through the process. It is also happening slowly. Officers are prepared to go out of the banking system to join insurance, because even the wages are also better. DA compensation is also better. We'll come to that.
Yeah. Okay. So my question, initial question is, since we have talked about business correspondence, staff strength and all those things, is union as a trade union as a whole, are we against the idea of BC?
Honestly, because their confirmation never takes place. BCs are coming through the contract system, where the bank and the individual man come into a contract, and that contractor will employ all these people. Banking correspondence through the system that it comes. And the BC's recruitment process itself should have been defeated. And one of the union now they say, for them a separate wage settlement and other thing are to be prepared. Like that one of the organization is proposing, which is absolutely dangerous. Resistant level, honestly to speak, Rahul, is completely coming down as far as the trade unions are concerned. If I put it, it may be a little excess, but still I will say more of collaboration is taking place instead of confrontation with the management.
Because with respect to BC, there is one more example that I wanted to share with you. Most of the BCs who are working in metros and urban areas, they are not allowed to work from the premises, right? So they have been told that you take a place somewhere near to the branch, and then from there you can do the transactions and all those things. But then whatever they're earning through that transaction, that amount is very less as compared to what they have rented out. So most of them are leaving the job of BC, and then they're opting for some other things. So this is also one of the case that is happening.
No, but the number of people opting out of the system may be very, very limited, because job requirement or the availability of job are also shrinking. And you can slowly go through it, the data. Between January and June, middle, engineers to a number of 63,000 people have been retrenched in the IT sector.
63,000?
From January till June 10th. It's the data that has been published. When educated, technological, advanced people can be done, the BCs who are all basically qualified at a graduate level, that too on the science or the commerce, they may not be able to withstand, but still people are coming. Exit number may be very, very less. And I can only tell you, intelligent BCs are also running parallel banking in the rural and semi-urban with the float money concepts.
Correct.
That is also happening, because the checks and balances in that system in the public sector bank is not foolproof. The trust being the cornerstone of the public sector banking is slowly evaporating.
Through the hands of BC.
Yeah. Connivance also takes place at some places.
Yeah. That has already been observed in some of the cases.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Now I'll come to a very important question. How do you respond to the increasing reliance on outsourcing and contract workers instead of regular staff? What steps trade unions have taken on this aspect?
As far as I shall confine myself with officers.
Yeah.
Officers outsourcing part takes place on technology driven area where market responsibilities and specialized officers who are all qualified, risk managers, cost accountant or chartered accountants or company secretary. This happens. But a new trend today it is coming up. Lack of experience of these people, on their retirement, they are being absorbed to work as recovery officer, inquiry officer, as well as dealing with the foreign exchange transactions at a compressed level with the maximum compensation of 25,000 rupees. Leading banks are indulging in this matter, leading to internal promotions are getting skewed or frozen. And a man who has granted the loan during his service, he also can also work as a recovery officer of the NP account. This is not being visualized. And outsourcing of any of the job of the banking system is always dangerous. Whether he was an employee, so is a trust deficit which was not available during his time period as a recovery officer or an inquiry officer or the statutory audit stock verification, wherever sensitive things are there, this will also get exposed. Hence outsourcing of any of the services, including the clerical and other thing, has to be opposed. But if you ask me whether what is the specific programs you have launched, I would only like to tell you, absolutely meager. Because none of the trade unions have felt the necessity to tell the people that you cannot employ or allow the outsourcing to come in. If you can take it for example, today the managements of the bank, they say that cash is insured up to 20 lakhs, so armed guard is not required from one point to another point. Second thing is ATMs are established, but the guard is from the outsider, particularly from the people who have short service commissioned people and ex-servicemen. Through them it comes, contract basis. The third that one comes is legal references through the panel advocates, technical advisors through panel. All these things are all systematically moving towards outsourcing, and resistant level which has to be picked up by the trade unions. If I am permitted to say, it is, if I say it is meager, that statement itself is excessive. To quote an example, when the Department of Post and Dispatch Department was there, we used to grumble, within shortest period we have to spend 100 tapals, and it is better we should hand over to the private sector, the couriers. Today what has happened? The same services are being given by postal department, but we are not prepared to reverse from the contract which you have entered with the professional courier, for example, opting out and joining with Indian Post. That is not being attempted. Rather, if I state that officers are directly responsible in promoting the outsourcing, it is not also an excessive statement. Some or other, the burden on me should be given up. That is a situation that happens. Rather, if I put it very crudely, the commitment to develop the institution with respect and dignity, it's slowly evaporating.
But in that case, I would like to say that officers are already overburdened.
Yeah, that's why the basic point is, even if I am overburdened, can I allow the private sector to enter?
No, that's absolutely wrong.
Yeah, that's why one live example I told you about the dispatch department being handed over to the couriers. You also take one more section, cash management has been handed over to private sector. Mm-hmm. And yesterday I came to know in my discussion with the lawyer, the CMS services which is being dealt, the license has been obtained from a man who is an armed guard, ordinary armed guard. In his name the license is there. The owners are there in the shell companies, Mauritius, that. The owners are operating. Cash belongs to country. And they will have a shell company, and license is in the name of an illiterate or semi-illiterate. The whole exercise is being carried out. These people are not aware of it as such.
So, next topic will come down to recently in March 2024.
25.
Sorry, in March 2025, the strike was called by trade unions. But then strike was deferred in March 2025, which created confusion among members.
Yeah.
So can you shed light on exactly what happened and why the strike was deferred, why it was called on? Because many of them, even me as a staff or as a comrade or as whatever capacity you want to take me from a banking industry, I was expecting the strike to happen.
Yeah.
And then at the last moment when it was called off, it was shocking for the entire banking industry. So actually what happened, could you please shed some light on this particular thing?
Comrade Rahul, to tell you once again, the strike was proposed by one of the officers' organization on a specific demand of 5-day week in the last week of February 2025. Another organization which is known for hankering to direct or misdirect, any word you can use it, and they slowly put pressure to see that recruitment takes the priority over the 5-day banking. And accordingly, the officer organization, as per the central committee, what they decided, they readjusted and postponed their strike date to the March, linking to the last week of the financial year ending. Issues were listed out, and in the meanwhile, there was one outfit which has outlived its purpose, namely United Forum of Bank Union. Today, it has gone into deep slumber. There is no EOBU convener or anybody. So, three major organizations, they came together and they tried to work out what are the issues to be listed out. Triggering the proposal for strike was initiated by AIBOA, INBOC and NOBO on 27th of January 2025. Very clearly coming out what are the issues to be projected. But on the privatization matter, there was no seriousness expressed by so-called responsible and respected trade unions in the banking system. That is why in the conglomeration of 8 unions or 9 unions, whatever it is called, AIBOA has taken a very firm stand unless we fight the IDBI disinvestment, as well as allowing the 5 private sector banks, public sector bank to get into private participation, and also stopping the outsourcing. We shall not be party to those things. We will be observing a separate strike. Demands were listed. In that 5-day banking was also taken, updation of pension was taken. Like that, about 12 issues we brought, where attack on bank employees were taken and perquisite tax should be borne by the bank, and great pay has been introduced in SBI, and performance linked incentive should be akin to the executives who are all getting in the scale 4, 5, 6, 7. This has been taken. But some or other, the other unions have felt that we are taking a tough stand on the disinvestment process of IDBI. There were attempts to dilute the entire thing, and they said we can put it 5% of the share from the market if they purchase it for IDBI. In order to satisfy us, those suggestion was made, or rather issue was incorporated in the entire thing, and there was a misdirection. 18th of March, there was a discussion for a long time, and which was adjourned to 21st of March. And the 7 organizations, because I will not say 8 organizations, an individual representing AIBOA was signing the communications, which is not legally right. Hence, AIBOA has taken a very tough position with regard to the disinvestment and all our issues connecting with the officers. Since the 7 unions have come to the conclusion of deferring, and there are also commitment from the Government of India as well as the IBA to pursue the 5 days week with sincerity, and also on PLI matter they will be taking with the government. Tactically, AIBOA, with the limited presence in other banks, we took a very calculated step of one step backward in deferring the strike to a future date. Because Deputy Secretary of DFS participated, and he explained his role of the whole government machinery in the issue. And in the meanwhile, the 7 unions were one side had continuous discussions, and there were records that were created. And deferring the strike, I for one to speak on behalf of AIBOA, is not a right step, because the mood of the people was to observe the strike and fight the government. Withdrawing the strike, and naturally when the majority of the people are not going on strike, and if we get into it, already the per day loss of the salary of an officer is anywhere between 3,000 to 5,000 rupees. And whether people should be money conscious or not, that is a secondary matter. However, it will have a dent on their home take pay. And when the majority numbers are not resorting to strike and deferring it, AIBOA took the painful stand of deferring it. Left to us, or had we been inside the 8 unions, 7 unions which have met, we would have made our impact that there is no question of withdrawal of the strike. And it is reliably learnt through circles that once again they are contemplating to launch a strike in the next week, because the conciliation proceedings are slated to take place with that 7 unions on 17th of this month, and they are wanting to revive the agitation. I have got my own comments on that. Withdrawing the strike, deferring the strike or withdrawing the strike is nothing but a suicidal, and youngsters have not appreciated the stand taken by the unions. It's a factual question.
So you are basically trying to say that because of internal disagreement related to certain issues and not unity among all the trade unions for all the regarding listed issues. The strike was, AIBA was not wholeheartedly, but somehow it participated with the call of the other trade unions, and the strike was deferred.
No, I would only like to correct Rahul. They walked separately, we walked also separately. Their demands and our demands are totally different.
Okay.
We wanted disinvestment as to be fought, but they were not very serious about it. We said privatization of the public sector bank, we should halt it because SEBI instructions are dangerous. They were not serious about it. If the industry is not going to be there, where is the question of my trade union? Was the basic difference between the 7 unions and All India Bank Officer Association. And when we took the decision, it was not a decision of a single person, it is a decision of nearly 5 people who have participated from the Central Secretariat, along with the Vice Chairman. And we were very conscious that they will be revisiting their decisions once again, and a new type of problems will emerge in the days to come. But if you sincerely ask me whether AIBOA has done a right thing or a wrong thing, yes, we have not done the correct thing. Whether they come or not, it is always said by Rabindranath Tagore, call them for a collective action. If they don't come, walk alone. We should have observed the concept of walk alone, whatever be there, consequences that the officers will face belonging to All India Bank Officer Association. It is like a mistake committed during the emergency, which we repent after 50 years. The same way, the disinvestment process, which is likely to be concluded by 30th of September 2025, then these unions will come to senses what they have done of deferring the strike or not incorporating, directly attacking the government was a wrong step on their part. And of course, from AIBOA, we are standing alone because of very many controversies created by the erstwhile United Forum of Bank Union, which is absolutely non-existent as on today. And the decision taken was a collective decision by the leading secretariat members of the All India Bank Officer Association.
Okay. So now I wanted to ask you, what is the current status of 5-day banking? Because you know, all the young generations, they all wanted to ask about this. What is the current status of 5-day banking? Whether it is going to happen now or sometime later, or whether it is not going to happen at all. What is the current status and how do AIBA look at it?
If you trace the history, securing 2 days holiday was a singular achievement that we have made in the year 2015, when some of the responsible trade unions were opposing even the introduction of 2 days working, 2 days holiday on 2nd and 4th Saturday in 2015. What was the cost we have given, though it was considered to be little? This has led to this crisis. But as far as today's position is concerned, on 28th of February 2023, there was a unanimity amongst all the unions that 42 minutes will be the extra work that clerical will put in. And IBA agreed to grant it. And ultimately, It was submitted to Government of India on 30th of November 2023, and when we signed on 7th of December the 9th joint note understanding, it was clearly committed by Indian Banks Association that they would persuade the Government of India to consider and clear the 5-day bank.
Okay.
However, the same facility was available to the LIC employees with effect from 1st of August 2021 itself. And when these issues have been taken up, the one side we can say lack of seriousness, another side the negotiating unions, some of the unions were under pressure not to resort to the strike. But from AIBOA, we were persuading the majority union in the industry of the officers on two issues, 5-day banking as well as monetization of LFC. On these two things, we should observe the strike on 27th of March 2025. That is, the next day was the Good Friday, but somehow or other, by inserting an clause which can be read on any way, whether beneficial to the employee or to the management, was introduced, and forcefully the 9th joint note was signed at Bombay on 8th of March 2024. Number one. Number two is 5-day banking. In the recent discussion when it came, government authorities, they were unable to come to any conclusion. And the recommendations are resting at government level, but at what level, nobody is able to tell. Resting at government, but at what level it is resting, whether it is at DFS or with the respected finance ministry higher officials or with the Prime Minister's office, nobody is able to tell. This is the factual situation. Assurances are doled out, but honestly to tell, there is a pressure from the private sector bank not to allow the 5-day banking to come in, because they are also telling that the organization called EOBU has got no union in our bank. So, because there the contracted officers are more than the contracted employees. So, they wanted to take advantage of 2 Saturday working to increase their business, and in an indirect way, they are the stumbling block in considering the 5-day week. Because as you know, the present government would like to have the support from the private sector to run their own government apparatus. The 5-day week is honestly eluding our destination. And in my opinion, unless we have a stiff fight as a headlong collision with the government of India, it is going to be very, very difficult.
So only the way to have private banking is to have direct head-on collision with
Government of India. Yeah.
That is only possible through strikes and
yes.
all these things.
Rather, I would only like to tell you, Rahul, it should be like the farmer's struggle, 13-month struggle, 14,750 charge sheet, 750 people dying, and ultimately Honorable Prime Minister has to come to the Parliament without any debate. The 3 farm laws have been withdrawn, and to form the committee to decide the maximum support price, it took 9 months, in which the representative from Punjab was not allowed to participate. And ultimately, if you look at the papers, it was the old man who is aged 83 years, directed by the Supreme Court, who was suffering. So Supreme Court directed Punjab government to give him the medical aid, and Honorable Minister of Agriculture has to flow down to have a discussion with him and readjusted the whole process, and his fast under death was withdrawn. When this is the plight of the people who have got a collective action, unfortunately bank employees who can bring a halt on the whole system of observing strike is not willing to take head-on collusion with the government of India.
Okay, now one question I wanted to ask you, Comrade, about this changing banking culture which you have seen over the long so many years. So as you, as I'll take an example of you, who has witnessed banking evolving over decades, what major cultural shifts do you observe in public sector banks? In very short, if you want to tell something.
We were in brick and mortar we have come to such a stage, remote operations are taking place in the banking, in a simple way to state. Number one. Trust was the fundamental thing where banking has been built. Today, trust has been misplaced in the present banking.
In what sense?
In dealing with the advances, high level of frauds takes place, where executives are directly involved. If you take the Kingfisher Airlines, one of the top executive of the bank is directly involved, of IDBI Bank, Mr. Agrawal, who granted the loan in A4 size of the paper, 945 crores to Kingfisher Airlines. One shift that has taken place. The hallmark of any bankman of 1970s and 1980s or 1990s is trust and integrity. Even the compensatory system is linked to that. Today, that is totally missing. Absolutely missing. And can you believe, in Nirva Modi case, Usha Ananta Subramaniam, who was the highest authority of Punjab National Bank as number one institutional head, last day of our retirement from the bank service, from Allahabad Bank, she was dismissed for no fault of them. And what was the charge? That you could not take control of that Nirav Modi case, particularly that Swift, with a connection with the central hub that has landed in that 12,000 crores. Shift is excessive technology also led loss of faith, and business expansions have also, between 75 and now, it is huge. And the way in which the banking expanded is also a growing concern for all of us. Where the limited branches were there, manpower was able to control. When the explosion of the data have come, or the volumes have come, naturally the technology is only the via media to reduce the stress. And another thing also you have to understand, today the real-time gross settlement is also created a new dimension, and the latest one that has come and hit the market is unified payment interface. That has completely defeated the very purpose of payment and settlement system. One more thing that government has cleared it, one of the things that technology wise we are always up as in India, we should be proud. Today the unified payment interface system is accepted in 15 countries. Okay. That is also one of the things that we have to appreciate. Equally, now they are bringing that unified loan disbursement system on the same lines, where the borrower need not come to the bank. Digitalized signatures and other thing is slowly taking place. However, some of the banks have taken a position and they got a beating, like one of the private sector bank, Kotak Mahindra Bank. They have been advised not to onboard the customers, and the investment in technology was around 400 crores. And the technology fraud has happened in HDFC, where a credit was offered to a unknown person to a tune of 133 crores in T Nagar branch. And Tamil Nadu Mercantile Bank has given a credit of 9,000 crores through technology.
So what do you want to say? Whether we should maintain a balance between this technology and the one which is already in existing place, because too much of technology is leading to so much of frauds and all these unethical practices.
Yeah.
So whether their balance should maintain, because you cannot stop technology to from growing.
Absolutely.
We have to adopt the technology.
Yeah.
But at what level?
The point is, so long as customers are benefited, to that extent technology should be expanded. But there should be checks and balances. And if you have seen the latest report on the RBI, the cipher frauds are also reaching such a level, because the persons behind these cipher frauds are already educated doctorates, mathematicians.
My God.
Yes. The Chinese are picking up the Indians and they put them in Cambodia as a slaves to operate these frauds.
Oh my God.
Yeah. These are all the things in a cipher fraud. In Jharkhand, Jamtara is the place where from this is also operating. No, the history you should know. Na? So, from AIBOA, we are of the opinion that human can never be substituted by technology. Limited use of technology is a must to facilitate the customer to have the best of advantages. And certain other things which has got no protection as per the law. You should know that data protection has not been cleared by the parliament so far. And it is hanging on fire right from 2005 onwards. Reserve Bank has constituted a committee headed by one Mr. Gopalakrishnan, if my memory is right. And he has recommended certain things, it is hanging on fire. Private data sharing is very fast. And data related to central card or anything can be stolen and it can be given. And today government is coming out with the proposal, PAN card and Aadhaar card are not the document to be relied upon. 2 days back some statements have appeared. So from AIBOA we are of the opinion banking should have human-based, more human-based when unemployment is the highest level. And every bank branches should be established with a population of 2,500 thing. This was the pronouncement by late Pranab Kumar Mukherjee when he was the Honorable Finance Minister of the country. He said every branch should have a population across 2,500. If that is to be taken in 710 districts, with the available number of branches, if you look at it, we are not matching with the international standards. Post offices have become a competitor to us. The service that they are rendering, that nowhere we can go near to them. Though the old practices are killing post office. Because if you wanted to drop beyond 20,000 rupees, you have to give a notice to them. Because they will write to the head office of the bank and they will bring, Rahul wanted to encash NSE of 1 lakh of rupees. This happens. Otherwise, they are the best competitors. And the number of branches are controlled by Indian Post Office. Even in the hill, they are more than the bank branches. Okay. So, from AIBOA, we are of the firm opinion, there is a need for technology. But excessive advancement of technology in the name of competition will kill the whole apparatus.
Okay. Okay, as we have already discussed about this technological aspect, you might have also observed that there has been a considerable shift in the working culture, especially inside the working culture of the banks. You must have observed that the way executive talks to the their officer, their subordinate staffs, and the work culture that has considerably shifted, the pressure that has been mounted, the targets that are being given to the employees. What is your opinion on this particular aspect? How should youth deal with all these things?
Now, as I shared with you in the initial thing, the colonial mindset of Indian banker has not changed. They were having the hire and fire policy in the pre-nationalization period or the first decade of nationalization. Technology has given them a terrorist approach of the executive vis-a-vis the subordinates. And those people who are heading the organization as a vertical head or the head of the department, for them, technology level, understanding level, it is absolutely minimum. Because they have been brought through the brick and mortar concept. Technology has entered somewhere in 1993 onwards only.
Correct.
So there is a generational gap between their entry level and the technology level. And I can only tell you that the present way of dealing with the human asset by the executives are to be given proper training to understand the psychological pressure and the stress a person who works in a branch or the counter staff are undergoing of not able to respond to the demands of the customer instantly. Hence, executives are to be given a skill development program attuned to the requirement of the today's priorities. And the way of talking and also threatening should stop. And you should also observe the number of suicides committed by the officers are increasing in the system because they are unable to put up with the psychological pressure and bringing them down their morale by the abuses. It is not the public who abuses more, it is the higher ups who abuses more the subordinates. This culture has to be stopped, and the people who are driving the institution has to have reskilling with regard to dealing with the human assets.
Because recently we have come across two viral videos. One was of private bank and one was of a public sector bank. The way it was on some Zoom call or some other meeting, but the way it was being, the meeting was being done was not at all.
Rahul, one thing the officers have to come to a conclusion. In German, if government authorities after 6:30 calls a subordinate to work or collect information, the government of German has decided to charge sheet that executive who is calling the subordinate to work after 6:30. This is one thing we should know. Another is, in Australia, they are very clear instruction. You cannot disturb after the evening. The time is meant for them, and they have moved for 4-day banking. We are Australia. That is the latest one that is coming up. If you really wanted to achieve the work-life balance or regulated working hours or towards the 5-day working, because of the alternative delivery channels are beautifully available, then one thing the officers have to come to a conclusion, as expressed by the executive director of Union Bank in a video conferencing, that between 8 p.m. and morning 9 a.m., nobody should respond to the SMS or WhatsApp call of the executive. One, because he himself told, for me also the message comes, the targets and other thing. You must have seen that video.
Correct.
So the scale 1, 2, 3 officers, who are all constituting nearly 82% of the workforce, should come to a very firm conclusion that it is time that we have to stand up together to win the work-life balance. That is the point that we have to pursue to a logical end. And if we don't do it, we will be causing a damage to the family, self, and after 50 years, one of the report that says those who are interacting with the machines, their life cycle get stressed, and ultimately they have become the living vegetable after reaching the age of 60. This situation is coming because most of us are sitting before the computer without understanding that radiation takes place in my system. There only that there is a need for educating ourselves. Equally, making the executives who have been introduced in the early stage. That's why Mr. Narayanamurthy, he beautifully said it. The third generation of the bankers have been given to the second generation of the institution through the first generation of the managers. The efficiency level will be like that. There was one statement. Another statement is, when he terminated the people Japanese concern has terminated the people, and there the statement was made. The same thing Narayanamurthy also he made. I don't know how much you love your institution, but I am not sure how much institution loves you. This was a statement made by Narayanamurthy when he issued the check in the auditorium of Infosys. He only brought, Japanese culture was a pink culture, pink slip culture. They will host a dinner or a lunch, and while going out, they will ask you to pick up your cover. That is your termination order. The same thing happened in Calcutta, where Bank of Tokyo wanted to shut down with 64 employees. They took all of them outside for yoga. Shut down. They said, your bank stand closed to us. It happened, and finally to file a case in Bombay High Court, Viswas Udagi, we wanted a tribunal to be appointed for which Milord to say, and within 15 minutes, our own lawyer friend who is very close to leftist movement, he charged not much, he charged some few lakhs. So these are all the culture, how the retrenchment takes place in the system. Today what is happening in Infosys? 3 examinations they have cleared, engineers, picked up from campus, and they were all terminated. They wanted overnight we will stay in the campus. They were told, if you don't vacate it, we will we will bring bouncers and you will be thrown out.
My God.
Yeah, this has all happened. And successfully they have terminated over a period of time not less than 1,000 engineers.
Next, we will move on to the third-party business and sales pressure. This is a very important aspect related to the banking industry. You might have observed, and you must be of the view that the growing pressure on bank staff for insurance, mutual funds, and other third-party products. How do you basically view the growing pressure? Is it sustainable?
No. The basic fundamental functioning of a banking is taking the deposit and lending the money. We have departed from that whole structure. That itself is not a right step, number one. And selling the insurance product, there are two contradictory statements that has come. Honorable Finance Minister of the country made it very clear that mis-selling of the insurance product should not be resorted to. First statement. Second statement, 4 days back, Sri Rajeshwar Rao, Honorable Deputy Governor of Reserve Bank, he was very clear that the mis-selling of the insurance product by the banks should be stopped. Economic Times has carried it. The very next day, it is reported DFS has reversed their stand that insurance and banking should go together. And one of the example I can share with you, the individual customer comes for the first year to avail the credit facility. So he is willing to give you the first year premium for the insurance. But second year, he prefers not to renew the policy. This is one such situations are happening. Second is, in the case of ING Vysya, it was ING Vysya insurance company was dealing with that, Netherlands. They sold their insurance segment, vertical, to Exide Battery. Then in the process, the manager who has canvassed the insurance business has to respond to the customer telling that, look, ING Vysya has given the things to Exide. So it will be very difficult because I don't have a contact person in Exide. The customer said, sir, I have come to the bank and given you the insurance policy because of our interaction. And who is the person providing you from the center? I am not aware. So there was a mistrust as well as a conflict situation arose.
So basically you are telling because of this bank is losing trust on behalf of the customer.
Yes. And finally, the manager has to seek apology because the sale has taken place at the corporate level. Information comes, the change of hand has taken place. And ultimately this was one thing. And one more thing I can very categorically say, the premium earned, rather agency commission earned in selling the insurance product in a particular bank like Union Bank of India, a couple of years back we analyzed, through 4,100 branches with 30,000 people or 35,000 people, they earned 197 crores as the commission for selling the Bajaj Alliance. They use my premises, they use all my manpower, and I get a pittance of commission. And the commission for the total earnings, if you put it, if my memory is right, it was working out to 0.07%.
For bank.
What is the purpose of it? Had I utilized these 30,000 people even to get 100 rupees from a non-performing asset, it would have been more profitable to me rather than selling the insurance. Another example I want to tell you, LIC has resorted to disinvestment process. Originally they decided 15 and finally they came down to 5% and finally they gave 3% as per the report. But when the IPO was released, you may be knowing, public sector bank kept the bank branches opened to accommodate that IPO. But LIC has not opened the branch on that Sunday. So all pressures will be on the public sector bank to do the government business to promote the private sector. And this linking insurance and telling that bank and insurance are coming together, as far as I am concerned, it is nothing but a myth. And to be very frank with you, competition of allowing the private sector insurance to come, the pressure that has been built on the branch managers they are driven to the madness because they fix. And to entice the people to indulge in insurance business, the insurance companies are taking the executives to small villages like from India, they are being taken to London, Bali, Indonesia, Australia, Ireland. These are all villages for these executives. This is happening. At the cost of the grassroots level people, the whole apparatus is being operated. It is not acceptable. Pressure is being faced by the branch manager at the lower level. And the trust deficit is created because of this particular thing. Of non-renewal also the pressure comes on the manager who deals with the loan portfolio. First of all, this third party mis-selling has to be defeated and it should be demanded, it should be abolished. Insurance as a segment is a separate one and it should be dealt separately. If they are going to link it because of some incentive, it will be a dangerous and suicidal move. And managers and officers are under severe stress on account of this. And I can also tell you, diversion of business also taking place on the third party because one of the leading global bank, the branch manager sent a communication through SMS. If you keep an amount in SB account, the interest earned beyond 10,000 rupees is taxed. First statement. Second statement say, if you invest the money in mutual fund, it is tax free and dividend is tax free. So his own CASA, global bank, CASA is diverted to the mutual fund. And this is also happening. The pressures are being built up to develop mutual fund. Ultimately, the enticing that the compensatory system part of it is being talked. Mis-selling leads to complications and it has to be halted once and for all. The amount of energy we are investing in securing the insurance product, if we invest the same thing in following up of the non-performing asset, it will be more profitable than this selling of the insurance product or third-party product.
And I think many a times Union has also come out with so many circulars for immediate halting of mis-selling of insurance.
But ultimately, Rahul, the field level officer and the front office staff, officer and manager, they have to take a stand. Before them, you don't take it otherwise. Before them, my performance appraisal, my placement preferably on the first floor of my own house.
This is fact.
No, this is a hot fact. We should talk very openly. Individually, that's why it is said by Tarakeshwar, we collectively decide and we are allowed to implement individually. And when it comes to the punishment for individual implementation, the individuals escape the punishment.
Okay, so next topic we want to talk about is lateral recruitment and HR trends. You might have seen that many banks are hiring, lateral entries for specialized roles.
Yeah.
What is your take? Is this dilution or necessary modernization according to you? AIBO's stand.
AIBO's stand is lateral entry should be stopped. First. Okay. Internal people who are having the same qualification and all, with the process of identification, they should be given an opportunity to upgrade themselves to that position. If there is no person available to fulfill all this criteria, to a limited extent, you can take them on a permanent basis, not on contract basis. What has happened in Bank of Baroda, as a matter of fact, I tell you, executives were taken on a lateral entry. Within 1 year, all of them have left from a higher position. Compensation was more than the normal IBA employee. But in spite of it, they walked out. So, lateral entry should be avoided, and the people who have got the same qualification, identified qualification, they should be allowed to participate through the process, identification process, and very, very limited people should be absorbed or taken from the market with a clear understanding they have to remain till they reach the superannuation age. Otherwise, within 5 years, they will exchange 10 jobs and they will say they are efficient. No, engineers you see, technology department you see, 5 IT companies they will say, and they will say that my compensation should go up.
Correct.
Same thing that comes up now.
Okay. So the next one is about youth participation in union activities. So what message would you like to give to young officers who are hesitant or indifferent towards union activities? First.
Number one is they are to be given a complete detail of development of the union from a period of private sector to public sector. How the sacrifices of the collective people in those days have brought them these facilities and placed them in a comfort zone.
How this could be given?
It should be a periodical meetings and as well as a training over a period of 6 to 1 year. They should participate physically and the essentially building the trade union movement or identifying the leader cannot be a one-day affair. It is a continuous process and a man has never been perfect in all segment. It is a collective work of couple of people to come together to hold the flag of the organization. And since they have been placed at a comfort zone, there is also a myth that is hovering around on their whole analysis. Management is benevolent to them without knowing the past history of the people who have sacrificed in getting that level. And another one more thing is there is a definite disconnect between the representative of the trade unions handling the efforts at the particular level vis-a-vis the last man who has entered the banking system as a member. This disconnect also develop a sort of a distance of the youngsters from the leaders. This is one crisis that comes or staring at us very seriously.
So is AIBI planning some seminars or some leadership programs or something like that to catch them young so that because ultimately youngsters are very much needed in this involvement of trade unions.
Rahul, you are right. Unless the two things that is a lesson that we have to learn is bringing a change in Sri Lanka. It's the youth who brought that change.
Correct.
The latest one is in Bangladesh.
Correct.
Youth has brought it. But the path that they have chosen to bring is not a right thing. Rather, it is a replica of Mr. Trump in the earlier thing, allowed on January 6th of completely attacking White House. And vandalism was there, and finally he was also held guilty and he escaped it because of the re-election.
Correct.
Process of ahimsa is one of the ways that we have to bring the youth to the thing, and they should be made to realize sacrifice is the fundamental things in a trade union activity. If they are not prepared for that, there is no question. But seldom, Rahul, I can say that a man who entered as a scale 1 has never remained as a scale 1, except hardly few people. Fundamentally, they feel that unless you sacrifice to build the organization, it cannot be. But otherwise, on an average, every officer who enters as officer, his minimum desire is to retire as a chairman of the bank. That's the minimum desire he has got. It is a minimum desire. If he is given a deputy governor also, it is okay. No, this is the normal trend, it is available. Physically, when you go and personally talk, they will say how Rahul has been promoted, why madam has not been promoted. All these analysis will come, and finally you ask why you have not been promoted. No sir, it is because of Rahul and madam competing each other. Finally I lost it. Finished. I am not qualified to compete with them. That self-analysis will never come. Suppose my controller gives me a ranking minus. Instead of giving me 50, they give me 40. I never appeal against that ranking. Na? You just ask how many people appeal against their appraisal system. Nobody appeals. I do the best work, but I am being given 74 marks and automatically I lose the chance. Whether individual should oppose or union should oppose, unless and otherwise there is a connectivity between the individual with the union, nothing will happen. Okay. And today the youngsters who are all coming up, they feel the facilities are like approaching a ATM. Without providing the PIN code, they should get the money. That is the expectation, which will never happen. And that is why the famous quote of Comrade Manon is, without pain, there is no gain.
Absolutely correct. I agree to that. Okay, so now we'll be moving on to another very important aspect. What I have observed is that there is a lack of functional vertical departments in most of the public sector banks, unlike private sector banks. Because of which, unlike private sector banks that have clear verticals like for CASA, for credit, third party, etc., branch heads are made accountable for everything in public sector, in most of the public sector banks.
Yeah.
Why has not this model changed in public banks? And what steps we are taking to change this? Because a few months back, I remember in one of the Chandigarh conference, I have spoken about this, about one common staff accountability policy that I think you have heard about it, you have written about it, and very recently uniform staff accountability or policy also came into place.
Yeah. There are two things, Rahul, we have to think. Creating a vertical head and concentrating a power at the highest level in the name of vertical head is a dangerous one.
Okay.
By which the capacity of risk taking of the persons who are working at the field level is totally diminishing. Not only that, they have to acquire the knowledge how a particular proposal has to be processed and what is the turnaround time and how the customer should be win over through our work. These are all being blunted by the vertical head. If he is over super active or hyperactive, pressures are more on the field level. Or if he is docile, the whole vertical becomes non-functional. These are all the two extremes only. Either they perform extraordinarily well, and then in that case, the last man in the row, you will have to undergo the tremendous pressure. If he is docile, the whole system collapses. And this vertical system should not be there.
Okay.
If vertical systems are there, then administrative control should be also completely removed. Because multiple reporting is causing a lot of tensions. One example only I can tell you. The bank which has got a central hub of pooling the data related to the advances, every Friday they can fix branch wise what is the tolerance level of lending, and if it is crosses from the central hub, they should take that branch which have crossed and they could have immediately monitored, which is not taking place. And the vertical head who are all reaching that level, whether they have passed through the mill of rural exposure, semi-urban exposure, urban exposure,
and
metro exposure, corporate, SME, or risk management, if you ask, out of 8 or 9 models when you take it, if they have completed even 4 models, that is supposed to be the highest level, which is not taking place. A person who is expert in agriculture, if he is going to be posted as a vertical head for corporate sector, vertical head concept has to be, it has been aped probably from the foreign banks. We need not copy everything from foreign banks. Their high level of technology, reporting system, risk management system, manipulating system, Indian bankers are yet to come up to that level. Yeah, verticals are always dangerous. And one example I can share with you, in Oriental Bank of Commerce, they brought the vertical system by which they removed the branch manager's cabin in the branches. Okay. The branch manager has to go on moving around, and he will be also another clerk in the corner. First chairman came, he did this. Second chairman came, he removed all those things and branch manager cabin were reconstructed. This is number one. During the vertical concept, the whole savings bank account opening was given at Bombay. Because of shortage of staff, it took 30 days to open a savings account. This also happened. And 3 officers are put, and whatever you say machines are effective, every officer has to open 250 accounts. It is not possible. Because feeding, getting it completed, KYC norms, complying with that, it is not possible. And if my memory is right, in OBC, Madam Mrs. Narendra Kotiawala, she was working. It took nearly 40 days, I think, to clear entire backlog.
So we'll come on to our last question. Is about mental health and work-life balance.
Oh.
So many officers today, especially in semi-urban, rural branches, are working beyond 10 hours without any support. What is the union doing to address mental health and burnout issues?
Rahul, one thing it should be made very clear to the officers. The old saying goes, the crying child gets the support from the mother. Whether officers are able to stand up to demand recognition of their work as well as the self-respect and dignity is a question which is totally lacking. Not only that, in order to satisfy the higher-ups, they are prepared to walk not a single step, they are prepared to walk miles. And in the process, they compromise their health.
Correct.
And if somebody says you go to 16th floor of a particular bank and jump from there, you will go to Swarg. There are officers. There are officers who are they are prepared to do that exercise. And this mindless subordination, is also very dangerous. A subordinate staff who has got a beautiful experience by virtue of his service may not be literate, but he has got a self-respect to stand up to tell, sir, this is wrong. I tell you, the living link between a branch and the village, the main media is the subordinate staff. Today it is not there. You go to any rural branch, it is only one officer and one clerk who is multi. He is a checker, he is a maker, he is the cashier, he is the armed guard, everything is there. And one of the things additionally I would only like to share with you, one officer and one manager is there. Manager is called for a recovery meeting. He goes there, leaving the chavi to the second man. When he comes back, he changed the password. Second man says, sir, you don't have a trust on me. But your vigilance manual, what it says?
It should not be shared.
First is it should not be shared. If at all, if you have shared because of compulsion, on your return, you change the password. This is a written instruction. Physically, what happens? Second man says, you don't have a trust on me because you have changed the password. What is the consequence of it? Next day onwards, he says, when you are going for any review meeting, don't hand over your password to me. I will not pass any check, I will keep it. This is also practically happening. And wherever excessive dependence are there, because of excessive trust, it also leads to complications. Precisely to speak about mental health and work-life balance, unless the individual feels they are burning their energy out of proportion and they have to come to a collective decision not to work beyond 8 hours. Not to work beyond 8 hours. It will be very, very difficult, Rahul. It cannot be just like that it happens. Here I want to tell you, Bank of India, during the leadership of Mr. Sunil Kumar, the former president of IBOC and was also a former general secretary of Federation of Bank of India Officer Association, he could secure defined working hours for Bank of India staff. It is on record, just 2 years back. Yeah, he just gave direction to the officers that at 5:30 you close down the shutters, take a photograph, send it to your regional secretary. And he brought, because statutory auditors came and they could not face the people. They have to run away. That has happened.
So ultimately, coming to the last topic, that is about PLI scheme. Many of the banks have not yet given the PLI to their concerned, especially officers cadre, scale 1, 2, 3. So what is the current status, where it is lacking, and we just want to know from union perspective, what is happening at the apex level?
There are two things you have to take note of it. Number one is, this particular concept has been introduced as a part of 8th joint note signed between the officer organization and the Indian Banks Association. And in the process of that, the basic parameters were linked to the profit, operating profit. Tactically, the management put pressure on the unions and brought the performance indicators, 8 performance indicators were brought. It was also clearly told out of 8, 5 will be chosen between union and management. And every 3 months they will review and the PLI will be linked to the performance. And basically on that the unions, majority unions were agreeing on this account, which is very dangerous thing. Because nowhere to decide the NIM on the product, you don't have any say. NIM you cannot decide it. Profitability you cannot decide it. A branch cannot decide the profitability. These are all incorporated. First thing. Second thing is, though it was orally told by Indian Banks Association that individual banks should talk to the union and fix the parameters, which was deviated totally. And as on today, to my knowledge, PLI has been granted up to scale 3 officers in Punjab National Bank only.
Correct.
Beyond that, nothing. In the meanwhile, one of the union has taken a position. The government of India has got no right to interfere with the PLI. Whereas our stand is, as a owner, they have got a inherent right to suggest, give a advisory. But our demand is 81% of the officer who is doing the base work, their compensatory system should be enhanced equivalent to scale 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
Whereas the other union, the representative who represents the largest bank, already he gets additional PLI. In State Bank of India, they get additional PLI from clerical to scale 7. It goes to an extent of even 6,60,000. And that literature I will send it to you. You can also quote. Yeah, it has to be told. And not only that, recently Great Pay has been introduced in State Bank of India from 1st of August 2024. Up to 16 years, 4,000 rupees, and after 16 years, it is 12,500 rupees, which carries all the DA, CCA, HRA, superannuation benefit. Great pay for officers they are giving it. PLI part of it should be related to the profit earning and departing from there and fixing all other formalities of parameters which are not exercisable by the ordinary person at the grassroots level. It is nothing but unscientific. You may ask a question why AIBOA has not attacked or retaliated. We came out with a very clear circular. The attempt of the bankers are moving from profit orientation to the performance orientation, which may lead to the individual bank-wise settlement in future. My paying capacity is more, I can give you. That attitude has slowly come in State Bank of India. It will be made, as a matter of fact, a permanent one, and it has to be stalled. I should not say otherwise. Scale 4, 5, 6, 7, they may be part of the top management team. Whatever decision they take, it is getting implemented through the scale 3, scale 2, scale 1 officer. Compensatory system should commensurate with the analyzed pay of scale 4, 5, 6, 7. We are not telling that government has got no right to interfere with the micromanagement system, but we are very clear that it has to be proportionate to the risk-bearing capacity of handling the public across the counter. It is the 1, 2, 3 does the business. They bear the brunt of facing the customers, and ultimately they are being paid 1.4% to 4.6%. 5 days if you convert it. 5 days divided by 365, 15 days divided by 365, you put it will work out to 1.6 and 4.6. Our circulars are very clear. And it was one of the demand from our side to the Government of India in the strike notice, enhanced PLI for a scale 3 officer akin to the executive, like that only we have put it. We have never questioned, government has got no right to interfere. Okay. We are very clear about it. Okay. And the parameters, what are all they have set, it may lead to bank-wise settlement in future. Okay. They will say performance is there, profit is there, I wanted to give more. Instead of a uniform structure available to the whole segment, that will be defeated.
Okay. So, currently, what is the status of PLI? Whether, except as you said, PNB, no other bank has given PLI.
Yeah, well, I was also told Union Bank board has passed it up to 10 days. Because of the instruction from the government, scale 4, 5, 6, 7, they should halt it. Because the other unions have given a joint representation through CLC, and CLC has requested DFS also put on hold.
Correct.
It is not being paid. It is like this: for the sake of 10% of the population of the officers, the rest of the 90% of the people, or 20% of the population, the rest of the 80% people are being denied. It can be one way. Another way is they get a very, very pittance at a lowest level. It has to be enhanced substantially. If a scale 4 officer can get 60%, scale 3 should get 50%, scale 2 should get 40%, scale 1 should get 30% of the annualized pay. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100. You give it to board of top chairman of the bank, 100% annualized basic pay, amount is something huge. Na?
Correct.
This thing should come. When one rank, one pension can come for the lawyers. Now, Honorable Justice Gawai has said, the judicial officer even recruited through district and come to the High Court, they have to be paid the concept of one pension, one rank, one pension. When that can happen to the judicial system, why I should not be given the concept of equalized pay up to scale 1, 2, 3, one segment, 4, 5 another segment, 6 and 7 another segment. They can revise it.
So it is under consideration.
Because of the undue pressure exerted by a couple of people, it is. But ultimately, government is trying to tell that they have not revised between 2006 and 2024, and they have taken the concept of bell curve concept. It is a performance measurement system which was adopted by ICICI. They are bringing it. Okay. Yeah, this is the background of it. Bell curve will be like this. Okay. Yeah, I can give you that literature, bell curve system. But certain of the outdated system the government is bringing. But one thing is there, in 2015 in Gyan Sangam, Prime Minister of the country said in the functioning of the public sector bank, they will not interfere. There is a direction from the government of India, but contrary to that, they have interfered.
Okay. So, Comrade, it was really an honor to have a detailed podcast with you. There are still so many questions, but because of paucity of time, we'll be restricting to this much only.
Okay.
It was really an honor having you as a guest in our today podcast. You really spoke with your open heart, and whatever was there, you had, without any hesitation, you had spoken in front of the camera. Thank you once again. It was really an honor.
Oh, thank you, Rahul. AIBOI is known for transparency, accountability, and also self-dignity of the officers, and ultimately accountable for all the action on behalf of the Senate Committee of All India Bank Officer Association. This is the fundamental principle of All India Bank Officer Association. That's why we are able to stand up against all the pressures in the industry.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.